I'd like to take a moment and thank our sponsor. If you have a laser device for training and you want to take it to the next level, or if you're looking to get into using a laser device for training, check out the products at laserapp.com. LASRAPP.com. You can use code CSP2021 for 15% off the items you've selected. And thanks for checking them out. Welcome to this week's edition of the Casual Shooters Podcast, your premier podcast for the casual shooter. This week you have me, Dave. You have Leo.
Hello.
And Chris. We have a full house. And this week's distinguished guest comes to us by way of Venezuela. She's an Olympic shooter. So let's welcome Gabby Franco to the show. Hello, Gabby.
Hi. Thank you for having me.
Oh, thanks for being on. If you would take 30 seconds or so and introduce yourself.
Well, I am an Olympian. I used to shoot Olympic shooting. I did it for about 11, 12 years. And now I shoot competitive shooting like Uspsa, two-gun shooting. And I love the shooting sports. I have done it for 3/4 of my life. So it's definitely part of my life.
That's a very good life if 3/4 of your life has been shooting.
It is. It's fun. It's been fun.
All right. Well, I'm excited to have you on. I've been wanting to have you on for a while. And at the end, I'll explain why I want to have you on again at another time. But Gabby, we normally start with 5 questions. Mm-hmm. They're a little bit more personal. They're kind of get to know our guests. They're like icebreakers. Okay.
Okay.
All right. First question. What is your favorite movie?
Ooh. That is a very interesting question. I would say The Bodyguard.
Okay. Kevin Costner. Yeah.
Yeah, I liked it. I like a little bit of drama, but I like the sense of the movie.
Okay. How about your favorite book?
Ooh, I have so many books that I really, really like. And I have to say, I'm not a person who, when I like something, I read it over and over and over again. I read it once, I love it, and that's it generally. But there's a book that I really enjoyed, and it was the Celestine Prophecy from James Redfield. And I think the book changed my perspective in life in so many aspects. If you haven't read the book, I highly recommend it. It's very good.
Okay. Oh, good answer. I wasn't sure if you were gonna just say your book was your favorite.
Well, as an author, I am very, in a way, self-critical, that I'm always thinking, oh, I can make it better. I can make it better. So I'm always learning from the best. And James Redfield, his books, Celestine Prophecy in the 10th, and all his books are amazing.
Okay. All right. So this is a Huggy special here. Who is your favorite superhero?
Spiderman.
Really? Okay.
Well, I may be biased because my son, he claims to be Kid Spiderman. So without a doubt, that was the first answer that goes in my mind.
Oh, the old Spideyverse, huh?
Yes, for sure. He's there always to protect Mama. So
there you go. All right.
Oh, well. Whoop. Okay. All right. So, your favorite gun and caliber?
Well, I definitely like my Walthers. I have my Walther. I use the Q5 steel frame, which I have with me right now, and 9mm. But that said, it's not that's the only gun I like. I like many other different firearms out there. I like the 1911 platforms. I think they're great guns too. So I kind of like the steel frame nowadays because provide that weight that helps me a lot with that recoil. So that's one of the things I really enjoy with my Q5.
Okay. Now, while we're on that real quick, I have a question.
Yes.
I noticed you you went to a different optic. You went to the Holosun.
Yes.
So how are you liking the Holosun over the previous one?
Well, I was using the Venom, the Vortex, the Venom, and I liked it. I really like the low profile, and the reason for that is, I like the everything that goes very close to my hand. Okay, if it goes too high, I feel like I have to put my hand down, obviously, to get in the same visual with my eyes, and that doesn't feel as natural. But then I had this opportunity, and Primary Arms came to me and said, "Hey, we would like you to try this optic." And I am one of those people who like to try things before I say anything, very good about or bad about it. And I tried it for 6 months, and I loved it. It was a learning curve going from a dot to a chevron. But what I really liked is that as a someone who transitioned from iron sights to red dot, I kind of struggled to see the dot clearly, especially when I'm shooting fast. There was a point I didn't see anything, and most people say, "Oh, just see the window and stuff." I'm like, "Yeah, that can help you until to certain level." And with the chevron, it gave me a more visual as I'm shooting fast. I'm like, okay, I know where is that red dot or the chevron in it. And it was actually a quicker transition than I expected. And since then, I loved it so much so that now, they are my current one of my sponsors now.
Wow. Okay,
Yeah.
so you're using a chevron, not a dot.
Now I'm using the chevron, and this dot, particularly this model, because they have different models, but this Holosun, this is the 507 model. This one has also a circle around the dot, or the chevron to say. So I don't use it because I'm so used to it. I'll find that no problems. But what I found out is that it helped me a lot while practicing left-handed. When I was shooting left-handed, especially during my transitions, I would be like, trying to find the dot. And then I thought, hey, this is when that circle for me, even though I'm not as, I'm very comfortable using my gun and everything, it really helped me to find the perfect position and hand grip, and find my dot quickly. So I really like it. I tell people, if you're new to using optics, this optic will probably help you transition a lot faster, and understand, for instance, where it's going to be more a visual of when you're gripping the gun and aiming at the target, where the dot is constantly going. And if you see, oh, my dot is always to the left, or to the right, whatever, it will be a lot easier for you to identify the problem on your grip before you even aim the gun. So it's, you go into what's going on and go to a process of elimination until you find the possible source of the issue, and you can fix it. But that circle around the chevron, is a plus for that.
Yeah, Beyonce actually made a song about not finding your dot. Everything you own is in the back to the left.
Right.
I have to say that's so awesome. I'm glad you gave that explanation on the Holosun 507, because I just actually transitioned from production to carry optics,
Mm-hmm.
and I just put the Holosun on my gun. So I haven't even fired it yet, and
Okay.
I've been doing some dry firing, trying to get used to finding that dot. So it's great to get that information from you. So I'm gonna try that what you said and everything. So
And like I said, and like I tell people, it's just a tool. Just look at it as a tool, you know. Like I don't use it right now, but when I was practicing getting more comfortable to get my dog with the left hand, you bet I did use it. So if it's there and it's beneficial, why not using it? So yeah, try it. I think it'll be very beneficial. More so that you would be able to have an extra, tool for you to identify where your problem is and so on and so forth.
awesome. Thank you.
Sure.
All right. So you have traveled a lot.
Yes.
Outside of the United States, what's the one place that you would like to visit again?
Oh man. So I have traveled to 18 countries so far. Most of them as a competitive shooter, representing Venezuela, and that's a difficult. I would say the Philippines.
Okay.
I would say the Philippines. I mean, like I'm saying, every country I've gone, I love them. And when you go as an athlete, you just go where you need to go. And yeah, we have time to, visit or tour here and there, but not the same as a tourist. I did had
Right.
I had a great time, phenomenal time in the Philippines. Unfortunately, I didn't get to go to the islands, and I've heard that one of they have one of the most beautiful islands in the world. Putting aside Venezuela because we have very beautiful beaches over there, but I would say the Philippines. The food is delicious. Oh my goodness, it's amazing place to go and visit for sure.
Did you have the banana ketchup?
I don't even know what that is. So
Yeah,
I don't
I've
even
been to
know.
I was to the Philippines 3 times in the military,
Okay.
and these people had banana ketchup, so I tried it. Not a good move. I like their food as well, but I do not like their banana ketchup. They can keep it.
I didn't
I
heard
won't be importing that anytime soon.
that. That's very interesting. I never heard
So,
of that.
what's your favorite food over there then?
Well, I like sticky rice. I like the dessert. The seafood is delicious. I mean, I loved it. Every time I order any kind of fish or seafood, it was like top notch. But they have so many other random stuff. I can't even tell you what it was. It was just good. So
Yeah,
yeah,
their
it
food
was.
is very good.
It's very, I would say, good. It's very flavorful. You see, very colorful. It's not just a piece of steak. I mean, they really put some that you're chewing. You're like, oh man, I can taste stuff. Natural stuff. Like you taste the onions, the bell pepper, fresh, and I really enjoy that in food.
All I know is
Okay.
I'm getting hungry now.
We're all going to be eating as soon as this is over.
Like,
Man,
can we turn
yeah,
this into a cooking show?
right. I mean, I may not look like it, but I really like to eat. It's a funny story. When I was a teenager, I literally did not eat. And I have some condition, I guess. I'm not gonna bore you with that, but the point is that I started eating, like really eating, after I started traveling because mom and dad was not with me and they were not there to give me what I wanted it. So I was literally forced to eat what was offered in those countries. So imagine from a kid who's very picky eating to go to Peru, Ecuador, and other countries where food is so different in so many different ways. And that perhaps was the best thing because I can literally eat anything as long as it's not moving, or pickles. I don't like pickles. So other other than that, I'm down. I'm like, yeah, let's do
Not
it.
no pickles even when you were pregnant?
No, 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 never. I don't know what it is. I just don't.
Those are just two very specific like differences. It's pickles and can't be moving. So like you can't go to Korea
Yeah.
and eat the squid live.
Right.
That's disappointing.
Oh no.
The world class baker right there.
That's true. I don't know if you can tell in this area of my face, but I do bake a lot.
Yes.
So
It can be deceiving, okay?
no, well, you haven't seen from here down either. So this face on that body over up whatever direction Huggy is from you up. Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
I make good cakes.
Oh, nice, nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, my dad, I grew up with, and I guess that has to do with it. That my dad was a hunter in Venezuela when, gun ownership was allowed and a lot of things were allowed. And I grew up with wild game too, so my mom, venison. And so, that changes when you are only kind of used to certain foods and then you go outside and then, you explore so many different things. But it's all good.
So when did you first shoot a gun?
Well, my dad, this is funny because my dad went to a gun range to get his uh, permit or something, or class to get his concealed carry license to apply for it back in Venezuela. And then in the gun range, he learned that there were a junior Olympic shooting team. I was 10 at the time, I believe. And then he put my older sister in the team to shoot and kept my younger sister and I dry firing for a year. So that's what I'm saying, that because my first shot was probably a year later after I had already been handling firearms, if that sounds crazy. But I would say between, I don't know, 10, 11, probably at one time my dad took us in and let us shoot something. But most of the time, that starting period was just dry firing. He thought that we were too young and we needed to be very careful, which is good, There were no
Right.
state education on how to teach children how to shoot. So I guess to him that was his best judgment. That I started very young.
Yes. Seems to have worked out okay. Huggy, you okay up there?
Yeah, all right, buddy.
You're on mute. We can't hear you.
Now. Yeah, safety third, we always say.
I was pulling a Dave from the other day.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. My bad.
Okay.
So I'm going to add in a question here. How about your son? Has he shot, or are you going to get him into shooting?
Yeah, so my son, I haven't taken him to the range yet. What we've done, my husband and I, like I draw fire at home, and he sees me with a gun, and he's very familiar. He doesn't even ask me what it is, or he's not, curious of what it is. He doesn't try to touch or anything, and we tell him about safeties and all that stuff. We will probably start next year. Now he's going to be next year closer to 6. He's a very active kid. Like if I'm holding his hand and I just do this, he's gone. So yes, he's a runner. He's a runner. He'll go, and I have chasing him at the hospital. Okay, because for him it's a game. Me and Wedge just, kid, come back here. So that's been my concern, that he will be like, okay, we are in a shooting environment, you need to stay quiet and stuff. So what another strategy that I'm planning to do when it gets warmer back in here in Virginia is taking him to matches when my husband is shooting, because the good thing about Virginia is that they do the match same day during the weekend. So my husband can shoot on a Saturday and I can shoot on a Sunday. So while my husband is shooting, I can take him and let him show, maybe help paste and give him an activity that he learns. Okay, we go in and then step back, and then when he's done, we can go home. I'm not gonna stay there with him for 4 or 5 hours, that until getting him used to it. So that's my process, or my plan of getting him used to it, conditioning to what the firearms are, the safety rules. I do believe in that process, slowing down. He's only 5. He has a whole life to go. So I'm not in a rush, but I'm definitely thinking through a process that can be successful for him, safe for him, and obviously a peace of mind for me too.
Yeah, that makes sense. Start them on a 22 because you started on a 22, right?
What is it?
Did you start on a 22 caliber?
Actually, I started on an air pistol.
Oh, air pistol. Okay.
And if I start him, what my husband and I are thinking is just rifle, maybe a pellet rifle or a 22 rifle. I like that better than starting on pistol, just because the muzzle of the gun is farther from their hands. Is There are less chances for him to fumble things around until he gets more used to it. So we have a very nice. I won a raffle, an NRA special edition rifle in one of these meetings, and I love it. And it's a lever action, so I always said that's going to be his rifle. So yeah, so we're going to start him on that.
Yeah, I started my kids on a little 22 repeater. Because you can rest it. All they have to do is get behind it, and there's no recoil. I mean, I agree with it. It's very easy. Great way to break them in.
Yeah, it's very easy. It's fun. I want him to have fun with it, and obviously while learning the safety rules, and
Right.
not rushing things. I think one of the biggest my concerns, or when I talk to parents, they ask me that question. So I don't rush things. They have a whole life ahead of them. Whether they learn little by little, they don't need to learn right now, other than safety. But just take their time, so you don't. They feel that they can go whenever they want to, and they can enjoy it without feeling pressure that they have to do it. They have to become a shooter. So when I tell my husband, I don't care if my son becomes a shooter or not, or he'll do whatever he does in the future. All I can do as a parent is provide the tools and the knowledge that can help him be a better individual and success in his life. But other than that, that's all my plan.
Okay, fair enough. So how did you go from shooting your first gun at 10 or 11 to being an Olympic shooter for Venezuela?
Woo.
Other than just growing up.
Well,
She's like, be awesome. That's how, Dave.
Well, I have to say a lot of work.
Okay.
A lot of hard work. I train 6 days a week, Tuesday through Sunday. Mondays were days free because the range was closed. Countless hours after school, going to the range, dry firing, skipping parties, skipping even my high school graduation.
School.
Yeah, no school. I didn't skip school. That was no part of the bargain there. But a lot of sacrifices. And I'll tell you a story. So we have, and I'm still very good friends of this man. He was one of my older sister's best friend, and he was a judge in synchronized swimming. I think that's the name, synchronized swimming. So he was a judge for years, and he still is. I mean, 20 plus years later, he goes to Olympics and all that as a judge. But I remember he was in Australia, like 2 years probably, like we're talking about 1998 or something like that. And he sent a postcard. I mean, we're talking back in the day, postcard, not even an email, a postcard from Australia, and said, I don't remember exactly what the postcard said, but the only thing I remember said, "See you in Sydney 2000." And we had that little postcard in the mirror, and then stick on the side of the wood in the mirror in our bedroom. And I remember looking at that, "See you in Sydney 2000," and all I kept thinking as a 17, 16-year-old was like, wow, who goes to the Olympics? They're superhumans. It's, to me, was something untouchable. Like I would see it there and I would see like, yeah, right. So when people ask me how getting to the Olympic Games to me was surreal, and it happened just not only because of my hard work, because I earned the spot. I went to the Pan American Games in 1999 and I won a silver medal. And that gold and silver medal were automatic plazas to go to the Sydney Olympics. So it's not like I didn't earn it or anything like that. But it's amazing how your mind tricks you sometimes into thinking that certain things are untouchable for you. And I'm very blessed that, you know, I had an amazing coaches and my parents and amazing support who perhaps I didn't tell them that, but seeing me that hard work pays off. Like you don't see the work right now, but you can look back, like myself now, 20 years back, or from the Olympic 2 years back, and see, wow, it did. All those sacrifices, it did pay off. So, taking one day at a time, but it was definitely an amazing experience.
So, okay, so that brings up a good point. At some point, your mindset had to change from, oh, that's impossible, only superhumans do that, to, oh, now Gabby Franco is going to the Olympics and representing Venezuela.
Yeah.
At what point did you go, hey, maybe it is possible?
Yeah. Even when I was in the, I would say, like I'm saying, it was surreal for me. It did not hit me like I am in the Olympics until I was in Sydney, there, because there's so many things that could go wrong as an athlete. You train so hard, but you can have an injury. You can get sick. I mean, there's so many variables that you cannot even control, and that's something that you desire so much that, for good or for bad, you think like, until I'm there, I know I'm there. So to me, it hit me obviously after my silver medal, in the way that, wow, now I need to train a lot, even though we were very limited. In Venezuela, we had very limited trainings, and resources and tools, but nevertheless, I always try to do my best. Uh, but yeah, my mindset, I would say, it's not like necessarily change per se, because like I said, I had a strong foundation with my coaches, and I have these books. Do you believe it or not, this is my notebook. Yeah, I was a little rebel. This is me. I made this. Okay? These are cutouts from magazines, and this says, save yourself if you can, pretty much.
Okay.
Nice.
Okay.
I do that.
So it's but to give you an example, for instance, I do have one of my last competitions somewhere in here, and this is 1999, before I this is from, the Olympics were in 2000, right? And this is 1999. 1999.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is September 1990, right after the Pan American Games, and the translation basically says, I'm sorry, I write what I'm doing, which is sport pistol. My coach is Otar Kibrikashvili. He was from Republic of Georgia. My other coach from Cuba, Guillermo. And then
Wow.
I do general preparation, like physical preparation, warming up. Then psychological preparation, okay? And so to give you an example, to give you this, starting off my preparation 5:05 p.m. Starting of the competition 6 p.m. So I'm preparing physically, mentally an hour before my competition. And I didn't write here what happened in the match. I guess I wrote down just like my thoughts at the beginning before. And what I said is that I am a strong girl. I'm brave. I'm a fighter. So I'm going to dedicate this competition to my perfect work, to my dedication to the sport, and to myself. Besides, I have shot very well before. The only thing that have changed is the place. So I think. So I think I can do it even better because it is the same gun and it's me, only me, who can do it better at every shot. So, and this is me being 18 years old. Okay.
Wow.
So I don't think my mindset necessarily changed per se. It was most like the change, oh my God, I can't believe I'm at the Olympics. But the foundation of what it means to have a strong mindset or always strive to be your best cheerleader was always there, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Wow. That's impressive.
Yes, I mean that's awesome. I mean, to be able to self motivate, to make yourself to strive harder. You know that you can do it, and now you're just going to get out there and do your game. So that's awesome. That's really awesome.
Now, did you have a mental coach or was that just all you?
Well, no, like I said before, I'm very blessed with the people around me that were, my parents are very go-getter people, who have built their life pretty much out of nothing. So they were a primary motivation for me. My coaches, I have my coach from Cuba. He was like a second father for me. And because I literally saw him more than my own dad. And so many, my dad was working at school, then go to the range. So technically, I saw probably him, my coach, more than my dad. But he was always telling me that this is what I do, not what I am. Like a bad shot doesn't define me as a shooter. A bad competition doesn't define me as a shooter. It's just a process. Sometimes, sports are ups and downs. So obviously that constant reminder was important. Back then, like I said, I trained 6 days a week. So 6 days a week, I had this man telling me, okay, you had a bad shot. Don't worry, this is going to happen. We're going to fix it here, there. So that's the difference I consider, between myself as an instructor, or the benefit or the advantage for me as an instructor, because I was coached every single day, not just once in a week, somebody who didn't know me thinks that this could happen. No, like every single day. But also my other coach. So there was a balance. My coach, the one from Cuba, he was very sweet. He was like very encouraging person. Otar, who was my other coach, he was from the Republic of Georgia. He was a very strict one who would be like a grandfather for me off the range, but like a drill sergeant on the range. Or, there was no sweet spot with him, in the sense that if I won a gold medal, which it had happened before. I'm not talking about hypotheticals. This happened before, that I won a gold medal, but I didn't shoot at my standards. He would not look at me. He would say, "What are you happy about? Are you happy because?" Yeah, he would say, "Are you happy because you shot less crappy than everyone else?"
Wow.
I like this guy.
So yeah, so I have both balance, meaning like, oh yeah, it's all good, it's very good, but the other guy is like, hey girl, come on, wake up, that's not gonna fly, you know what I mean? And but I also worked, or I would say sports psychologists worked with me and us as an athlete. So yeah, I had a whole team of support that not only affected in a positive way my sport, but I have to say, it is how I am as an individual. They literally shaped my mentality, my life, and how I approach things, whether they're good or bad in life.
Wow. Well, Gabby, you are completely changing the flow of this podcast because I've got to keep on this topic because this is very good. It's very interesting that what you learned with your team there has followed you through life. But I also want to bring up something, kind of jumping ahead.
Mhm.
We've talked to a couple of people on the podcast and who've said they can see at some point coaching coming to the USPSA.
Okay.
And what I mean is like coaches there with you,
Hmm.
you know, at major events while shooting. What are your thoughts on that?
I think that's phenomenal. I think that that will benefit everybody who is very serious about the sport, because many think one of the fallacies that people as shooters are like, oh, I'm a shooter. I don't need training, or I don't need help. I'm like, okay, I'm like, let me think about this for a second. Michael Phelps have won how many gold medals? And
Right.
A
he
lot.
still has a coach.
Right.
But you, who goes and shoot once a week, and which is 55 days, 52 days in a year, possibly, right? Um, and then you think that you don't need coaching. I'm like, okay, good for you. You know, just do it, right? So I know I do believe obviously it's a money constraint for many, but I do believe seeking training as often as you can, finding if you can, you know, have coaching per se, finding friends that you can train together. I do that as often as I can. And it doesn't matter if they are grandmasters or masters or not. All I need in my head is somebody who is behind, who has a very good sense of the sport. And even if they're not there, they do have the sense that they can pick up, say, hey, Gabby, you know what? You had an extra movement there. And I'm like, you know what? You're right. And we review the videos and stuff. So it's just having a training partner or friend or people that you're constantly training with, so you both can see each other, that you both can grow together, whether at same level or different level, doesn't matter. At the end of the day, you're going to grow in the sport. But having coaches, if that is something that the sport goes on, I mean, by all means, we need it, of course.
Do you think it adds to the legitimacy of the sport, or?
I think the sport is legitimate regardless. You know what I mean? What it does, it definitely brings the level possibly even higher, for those who are seeking for that. I mean, we have to say that this is a sport, as many others, but this sport is more a hobby for most shooters. You know what I mean? For
Right.
the vast majority of shooters. So if they believe, if they think that they want to do best, of course, it's like the same way you go to a gym and you go to the CrossFit gym, you have a coach. Why? Because you want to make sure that you don't injure yourself. You want to make sure that you do it well. And believe it or not, one sooner or later you're going to be like, oh my God, I'm going to do my first competition in CrossFit. And that perhaps was not your original thought, but then you're there. So I think it does brings up the level, but it has to come with the people's mentality. You have to change that. Yes, you do need training. You need to have somebody. If you don't have a coach per se, you do need to train with other people that you can sort of coach each other and grow.
Yeah, I agree. I think it would take it to that next level for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
So, um, okay. So at what point in your life did you decide you were going to move to the United States?
Ooh. That is a complex, it's a complex question, but I'm gonna try to break it down the easiest way I can. There were many factors that the influenced my decision to come to the United States. One of them was who was my ex-husband back then. For 2 years, he wanted me to come to the United States and all that stuff. But in my head was like, that's fine, but I'm gonna leave everything I have here. My career. I was in a university. I was ready to go to the Olympic Games. So I had so many things that I was not ready to go. Besides, in my head was like, okay, I'm gonna go there, and then what? You know, I was
Yeah.
not so familiar about immigration because I was not even that was not in my head. But I also thought, how is gonna be my status when I get there? So then, socialism was to me was the biggest factor, because as the socialism finally became true, or they kept saying, oh no, this is not going to be so bad at the beginning, right? Or during the elections, when it got implemented, everybody was like, oh, hold on, this is going to be a rough ride, right? And so fire ammunition was restricted. We couldn't find pellets. My coach was like, okay, 10 pellets here, X amount of 22 bullets here. So my sport obviously got a big hit. Then I started saying, wow, this is really going from bad to worse rather quickly. So that was a huge influence. But I came here to Miami to visit who, like I said, who was my ex-husband, and we went to a book fair. That was in 2002, early 2002. And then he used to sneeze, those people who sneeze 10 times in a row. And I'm watching this amazing, I love percussion. And I'm watching this Korean kudo. I think it's this big drums and stuff, amazing. And this girl, I'm in between my ex-husband here, and she's, bless you, bless you, bless you. And I'm like, okay. When this is done, I turn and said, thank you, right? And I said, thank you. When I looked at her, she went with me to the Olympic Games in 2 years prior to the Olympic Games.
No way.
Yes, a tennis player. And I'm like, what? Like, what are you doing here? It was an amazing, surreal, like sent from God kind of moment. Because it turned that few minutes conversation turned into a exchange of lawyers information, how she got in here. And so then like a week later, I make an appointment with this lawyer, and we ended up, he told me, okay, we can apply for what is called an extraordinary ability visa, or an O1. And an O1 visa is only granted to athletes, Nobel Prize, or people who have developed great things in their field, like their abilities created that, not just
unique talent in some field.
Well, yes, but more than talent. For instance, actors do not get into that. Actors go in that slower bracket.
Okay.
If that makes sense. Because, sport is your physical ability, you train. It's a different, I don't know exactly the perfect criteria. But anyway, I applied for the visa. And then I had what I'm going to do there. You know what I mean? I can get there. I have my reasons why to the motivation to why I didn't want to stay in my home country. And I moved. And I left everything. I left everything behind. I only brought my one suitcase. Something's valuable to me, obviously pictures of my family, my notebooks. As you can see, some of them, my mom sent them to me. 2 medals, my only 2 medals I brought from the South American Games. My last competition where I got 3 gold medals, I brought only 2 and left 1 for my parents. And that's it. I was Olympic, at that point, I was Olympic hope for Athens 2004. Like I said, I had already won 3 gold medals. I was studying civil engineering, so I left my university. I left everything, and I said, okay, that's it.
Okay. Wow. So here you are in Miami. Now what do you do?
Well, trying to navigate the country, the culture. I didn't know English pretty much at all.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Okay.
I didn't even know how to drive. I was 21 back then. Yeah. Because in Venezuela, we had transportation from the sport. We had a bus will take us to the
venue and all of that.
Venue. Right. And driving in Venezuela is not necessarily the safest thing to do, even though some people like to do it. I was like, no, I can leave that to my parents.
And you think it's safe here in the States?
You've never been to the South Central Americas. It's not the same. Like it's like NASCAR, like Rubbin's racing. Like that's normal. Yeah.
I used to tell my mom. It was funny because how your mentality changed going from one country to another, and then when you go back. So before I used to tell my mom, "Oh, mom, you drive like an old woman," and we go in the we'll go to the main, how you say, like downtown per se. We don't have that, but
Okay.
let's say downtown. And there's a lot of people walking. And for you to pass, you have to keep driving and keep driving and keep driving. It's not such a thing. Oh, I'm gonna wait until people pass and then I'm gonna go. No, you just need to keep going. And I remember telling my mom, "Okay, mom, go, go, go!" Right? And 2 years later, after leaving here in the United States, I went back to visit and stuff. And then I was like, "Oh my goodness, you guys are gonna kill people! What is this?" So yeah, it is a big difference.
Yeah, when we visit Nicaragua, when my parents, like my dad used to be like, hey, he's the driver. And when we'd go down there and it was 180-degree difference. He was like, get out of the way, swearing at people, like getting ready to run people over. He hopped a median because there was a parade in front of us. He hopped a median and drove against traffic to get in front of the parade.
Well, Dave,
like, that's normal.
Yeah, well, Dave, do you know that about the Philippines? I was just having I always had a blast, but I was like a cognitive dissonance in that moment. You know, it's like, oh wow, this is kind of feels normal, but it's not normal. You know, people driving against traffic. But yeah, so
I was in Korea one time, and we had a couple of taxis. We had enough people that we had more than one taxi. So everybody was like, when you get in your taxi, say hubba hubba honcho. So we got in the taxis, we said hubba hubba honcho, and next thing you know, all of the taxis were racing. We're going through alleyways, around cars. That is by far the most terrifying car ride I've ever had in my life. Exciting as all get out, but also most terrifying. So I totally get it. Holy cow. So what did you, so you were a civil engineering student, you were all of these things. Now that you're in Miami, you're in a whole other country, you don't speak the language, you don't know anything really about the country or where you're living. How did you find a place to live? How did you find work? I mean, how does that happen?
Well, you know, I had who was my ex-husband, so he was definitely a good resource, and the friends around, so that helped a lot for, you know, to me. And then I had a friend who just needed an assistant. I don't know, guys, it's just loud. They are mowing outside. Okay,
We can still hear you.
Okay. So anyway, so then I was like, you know what, I just need something else to that I really like. So even though I had applied for my visa and everything, I had my working visa, I still didn't have a complete full status, right? So I was still waiting for my green card to be approved. And so I figured, okay, you know, I'm gonna work in the industry what I like, the gun shop. And I applied for several gun shops, and one of them accepted my application, and I started working at a gun shop, and I worked there for about 6 years.
Okay.
And so I'm very familiar with, you know, gun sales, even though some people come to me like, can I talk to a salesperson, please? I'm like, sure, sir. I can help you. But
you should just go to work wearing one of your gold medals.
No, I have to say, I have my strategy. You know, I am one of those people who I don't like to get into arguments. I think it's useless. But I do like to, if I can, in a way or another, I wouldn't say change people's minds, but perspective to me is more important, more than minds, but perspectives. So there was one episode we had that to rack the slide, a concealed carry gun was very hard. Like you had to hard, right? And we're talking about, oh my God, 2005. Okay, so it's back then. So anyway, when guys will come, I say something like that, like didn't think that I was a salesperson or I could help them, and they were looking for a concealed carry gun, I would say, oh, I can help you. Let me show you this gun. And I'll go remove the magazine. And because I knew how to handle this gun so much, I knew the amount of force I needed to apply to the gun. So, you know, rack this like butter. It was like butter, right? I said, here it is. And I go like, oh. Oh, is there anything else you can show me a little bit softer? I'm like, sure, I can.
Oh,
so,
wow.
so I can tell you, I knew how to break the ice rather quickly.
Yeah, you set them up.
Ah,
I like
um,
it. I like it.
Yeah, sounds like a
Yeah.
friend of ours. Sounds like a friend of ours, Leo.
right.
So at what point, after getting here in the States, did you take up competition shooting like USPSA, or did you take up something before that? Did you try getting on the Olympic team?
Um, you know what? My ex-husband even got me an air pistol back then, and I said no. I was burned down. I had trained for 10 years of my life, and I literally was burned down. I was like, I want to have a time. I want to have time that I can say, this is what I want to do. So no, I didn't try Olympic shooting then, but I got into tactical shooting because working in this gun shop, and we had a lot of customers who come and visit, and regular customers who were into tactical shooting, instructors. And I started with that. I started with it, moving like this and shooting slowly and getting in the certain positions. And they are, we're still friends until this day. And I love them so much because they were my first transition from going Olympic shooting, and they helped me transition to a 9mm, which is a big difference. Even though I was a shooter, I got startled with that 9mm, and learning how to control their recoil, accepting their recoil, and all that stuff. So their practices were amazing for me. There was no speed, there was not necessarily timing, but it was all about make your hits, do your movements, as accurate as say, making sure that you don't shoot yourself in the leg, obviously being safe and all that stuff. And then from there, I did transition to USPSA. But they were like to me, I thought it was a very good transition between the two.
Okay. Now I noticed that you've picked up your training considerably for USPSA.
Yeah, I'm a competitive person. I am. I don't. I guess I don't have to say. I lived my whole life pretty much like that, and I'm not gonna say competitive in the sense of competing and trying to be better than others, but other like me. How can I do it better? Like, I sometimes I scrutinize too much of my own videos for my own good, but that's part of kind of my nature, that I'm like, okay, I did this wrong, how can I fix it, how can I do it? So and also the I have to say that the camaraderie in the sport and the USPSA is contagious. People are like, oh, Gabby, I can help you with this. Oh, you have small hands, I can help you with your grip, I can help you. So it was like, all this help was just jumping around, and how can you say no to continuing the sport when you have so much embracement from the people and so much help, that people want you to be there, they want to help you, and you see that from within themselves, like, hey dude, let's train today, let's train tomorrow, or oh my god, this happened to my god, okay, here's my magazines, here's my gear. It's not only that happened to me, but I can see it. I can see it like in other people. So you can see it's genuine. No, because I'm a woman or because I'm Hispanic or whatever you want to say. No, it's just a genuine part of the sport. And I love that. And so, that's why I just continue with it, because I'm I love that. Like when I go and train with my friends, here in Virginia, I have a few friends that I train with, and I like that. Like we go, we have fun, we joke, we are like, laugh at each other, we push each other, and I love that.
Well, I've seen on your Instagram where you've posted some stuff with some people you're training with.
Yeah.
So are you pushing to get better in USPSA? Do you have a goal, or is this just Gabby is competitive and wants to be better?
Well, I guess a little bit of everything. Some people some people I see, especially in USPSA, they they continually fight for get the classification. Oh, I want to be a master. I want to be grandmaster. I think that's great. To me, it's more, can I shoot at that level? Okay, because having the grandmaster, master, A, or whatever, B, to me is just whether egotistic or just like a prize thing that you can say I'm a grandmaster and master, and not saying anything bad about it, if that makes sense. But in my
Mhm.
sense, it's like, can I shoot at that level? Some people tell me, oh, Gabby, you are an A shooter, you should be classified an A. Hey, yeah, but I major matches, I'm still at B level percentage. What is it? Is it my mental block? Is it my movements? Is it that I'm very conservative? So no, until I know I can prove to myself, I don't care about what anybody else says or believe or think or whatever. But until I know that I'm like, okay, I'm at a match level, I'm shooting this, I am that, and I'm going to be that, because it's good, eventually it's going to happen regardless. When you go to major matches, they bump you because they're going to bump you, right? Whether you like it or not.
Yep.
But to me, that is what I'm looking for, is a constant striving to be better for my own sake. That's it. Like I'm saying, um, being in the sport, shooting matches and everything is for my own satisfaction. And also, I don't know, I just love the sport. I think also I'm a role model for my son. I cannot tell my son in the eye, I am this in paper, but I'm not this when I'm doing it, if that makes sense. So
Yeah, absolutely.
that's what I'm come from with that. So it's a little bit of everything. I love the journey. I love the journey of learning. I love the journey of learning about myself. Even when I started school after 20 years. I graduated high school in Venezuela. I have never gone to any formal education in the United States, no formal English education, and I jumped into university to get my bachelor's. And for stuff that were so simple, like the basic classes, that my husband's like, oh, it's not a big deal. To me, it was a big deal, because I could not, I was still learning grammar, English grammar, and all that stuff. But I love the journey of learning, no matter what it is. So to me, it's just a process that is fun, and I try to keep it fun as much as I can all the time.
Okay. So, at what point, I'd be remiss if I didn't bring this up. I know we don't have much time left, but I've got to bring it up.
Okay.
At what point did you find out about Top Shot, and how did you get on the show?
So, well, I was a fan, like many of you, Top Chef season one. So I watched season one, season two. I thought it was a cool sport. And by that time, about season three, or they were casting, my brother from Venezuela kept telling me, apply, apply. I'm like, are you crazy? No, that's a TV show. I'm not an actor or anything like that. That was in my head. And then one day, I Facebook scrolling, they come up and like an advertisement. This is the last week to apply for Top Shot. And I click on it, and then I was like, okay, I read it. It was not a big deal. Just send a picture, who you are, and why you should be on Top Shot. And so I was like, okay. And I literally did not think much other than open up my email, send that picture, send the email. And then I went back to the link to keep reading, because obviously it was more to it. And then said, along with that email, attach an audition video. I'm like, oh man, I didn't do that. They're gonna disregard my email. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't send the complete application. But long to behold, they called me a week later, and they said, we need your audition video no later than like 3 days. It was something like that. Crazy. Well, I spent the whole weekend filming and trying to make this video. The video is still on YouTube. It's like a 9-minute video. So
Oh, wow.
if you have a chance to watch it, watch it. It's fun to watch, or to me, to remember all that. And then it was a long process between getting that pool of people. They flew us to Los Angeles, 50 of us, to get, a whole
Wow.
process of shooting, training, I guess, to gauge your handgun, firearm
Your ability.
handling, right?
Okay.
Or at least to say if you were who you were in a sense.
Right.
Psychological evaluation, medical evaluation, evaluation in front of the producers. So it was a long process. I remember where I was like literally in an interrogation room. Like I was in a chair in the middle of the room, and there were like, I don't know, 6, 8 people on tables around there, and asking me questions and stuff. And one of the questions I'll never forget was like, okay, so if there's another female shooter and she is better than you, what would you do? I'm like, well, if she shoots good, I'll say, good girl, we can do this. But yes, but wouldn't you try to do something to her? I'm like, well, not really. Um, and I'm just being me, right? And then when I left the interview, I'm thinking, dang it, they want drama. They're not gonna pick me because I am not a drama person. This is what you get, that's it. But they picked me. So it was surreal again. The first episode was kind of traumatic, knowing that anybody could leave on that first
Right.
episode before even getting into the house or getting to wear a jersey. So it was like you were, but you weren't on Top Shot. So that was odd. But anyway, when we finally made it and I was in the house and I'm wearing my red jersey and we're sitting, that was the first, filming per se we did as a team. I'm sitting on the couch in the living room and all I kept thinking was like, man, I'm on the other side of the TV. This is awesome.
That's funny.
so yeah, it's to me, I know many people say, oh, they do drama and all that stuff. I'm like, yeah, they're type A people and they are competitors, all of them competitors. So drama is real. My thing is that what people say on camera, that was their choice. Nobody told me, oh, Gabby, you have to say this. I'm like, no, I just say what I wanted to say. So, that's how it goes.
Yeah, I either watched an interview with a male participant on another episode, or I read an interview, whichever it was, and he was actually saying that the producers and directors were disappointed there was not that much drama in all of the seasons. They were expecting more drama, and there really wasn't. There was a little bit on a couple of the shows, but not much, very little actually.
What people don't realize is that there is drama in our own lives with people that we love, with your mother, with your wife, with your children. How do you don't expect to have not to see conflict with people who are type A, who are in a competition, and they are already so biased of what we're in a TV show and stuff like that. There are people who want to show more than others and that kind of stuff. So it's just what it is. But yeah, I mean, I don't think there's much drama as we can see in other TV shows, and they learned. I know the producers learned from season 1 to my season 4 and 5, because by season 4, which is different than season 1, we didn't have mics every time. We didn't have cameras every single time. So they figured out that not even us as a competitors, but their viewers, what the viewers were looking for was not necessarily, the nitpick things that we did in the house or whatever, other than the competitions and the fun and the exciting and the talks and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely the most attractive part was the discussion about who was going to be up for the challenge, who was going on the chopping block, that type of thing. And then watching the actual shooting competition. So yeah, it was a very good show.
And
I'm sad to see it's gone.
I have to say we were like 16 competitors. And obviously it got reduced as the weeks went by, but as all of us, we're still dozen or more competitors there. And every single day we were thinking, what is going to be the next challenge? Oh, I bet it's going to be this. I bet they're going to do. We never, ever got it right. So, it was fun too, that we would never, everything they put in front of us, we never expected it.
Okay. All right. That's good. That makes it even better.
Yeah.
All right. So, real quick, in our last couple of minutes,
Yes.
what is American Air Gunner?
American Air Gunner is a TV show. It's pretty much a competition show, sort of like Top Shot, and where shooters, they're presented with different challenges. We were presented with different challenges, and well, we tried to do our best. I was called for this show, and I was like, okay, that sounds like Top Shot. They're gonna be some shooters who are like maybe pistol shooters like me, and other shotgun shooters, with air guns and stuff. Some professional, because air gun, there's Olympic shooting, there's different kind of air gunning, right?
Right.
So I was thinking, I'm sure there's gonna be a variety of skills. And then I learned when I got there, like, no, everybody was air gunners, rifle shooters. I was the only one who was pretty much off the grid, like pistol shooter.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So, but again, I am competitive, and in the sense that I'm like, okay, I know nothing about these guns because they're different. I have to say, like, hell different shooting a rifle, even 223 or any rifle, to an air gun rifle. Like if you zero, let's say in the cross, right? And you hit with this, and just 50 yards further, you probably, depending on the bullet way or the pellet way, I mean, you're off completely can be off the scope if you're 100 yards, 150 yards. So it was a whole different world to me. But like I always say, if anything from this competition, I'm leaving 10 times more knowledgeable than I came with. And it was the truth for me. It really opened my mind and my eyes. And I hope that it did that for my followers when I posted stuff for air guns, that hell, you can shoot an air gun at 200 yards. Like, that's insane, you know. So it's the capability, that technology, that you have technology in the what was it, chronograph inside of the rifle, to give an example, that Humarex has a 50 caliber that is like the hammer. So I was like, wow, it's like a whole different world from what I'm used to. So I think it's a phenomenal TV show for people to see more than what air gun is. There's a lot more to it.
And what network was that? Do you know?
Yes, that it was in the Sportsman. What is it? Oh my God. Sports Channel. Sportsman. You see? Got me on, put me on the spot right there.
That's okay. We'll figure it out. I'll post a link so people can go there and check it out. Well, Gabby, I know you have to run.
Yeah.
So we appreciate your time. Appreciate you coming on. You need to be less busy, so next time we have you on, we can have more time. Because there's 1,000 more questions.
That's not going to happen, I have to say. So, I'm clear. I tell people say, oh, Gabby, can you do this? I can tell if I can or I cannot. I cannot be less busy. So I'm about to wrap up my bachelor's. Hopefully I'll be graduating this time next year. And then I'm going to jump on my PhD. So
the next time we have you on, we can call you doctor.
Yes.
There you go. Dr. Franco. We'll call her Dr. Gabby.
Yes.
All right. Well, again, thanks for coming on, Gabby, and we hope to have you on again at another time and talk more shooting.
Yes.
Thank you. I had a blast. You guys are awesome.
Gabby.
And I'll be
Thanks.
Thank you very much.
Take care.
Until next time.
Don't be a little bitch.
Yeah.